I think the best thing about working with Keith is a kind of a combination of expertise that Keith has and that we don't have and need, and a sense that Keith understands our needs and our objectives as well as it's really possible for anybody to that's not part of our family unit to understand them.
I think the only surprises have been positive ones, and that is that the relationship that we've developed has been something more than just working with numbers and crunching numbers and making things happen successfully, and they have done all that. But also we've developed a personal relationship with you, and that makes the working with the financial stuff all that more comfortable and interesting. I think some other areas where Keith is different is through the writings that you do, that you've shared with us, the various newsletters and books that you've written and articles you've written, and us getting to know about the involvement that you have with various charitable organizations. It's helped us to have a sense of your personal values, which coincide with ours in many ways, and so that's another comfort factor that I appreciate and that I feel is different from just the other guy around the block.
I also think that Keith's different in a way that has a lot of meaning for me, in that I'm very sales resistant, and I get very uncomfortable if I think I'm being hard sold, and that's just never ever part of this relationship. I mean, I actually don't think about it as purely money management. I think it's, in fact, a total exercise in preparing for the remainder of our lives, to maximize our opportunities and our assets. And to be more specific, I think, the fact is that we have drawn down legal services that are relevant, taxation management services, retirement planning services. And I don't think of those as specific things so much as a part of the total bundle of the fundamental relationship that we've developed.
I think the issue of value for fees paid is one where one has to assess really what the value of the service is, and you don't get anything for nothing, and anybody who tries to tell you that you do is I think being naive. And so when other people say to me, well, we don't pay fees like that where we are, I don't believe they're getting A, the returns, or B, the services that we're getting, particularly for the amount of work that Ron and I don't put into it, in the sense it's not our area of expertise. You want something well done, you hire a professional and you pay for them.
And on the issue of the cost of the service that we have, the thing I particularly enjoy is that we're not paying a commission on the assets that we end up buying, and that means a lot to me, in the sense that I don't think that our advisor or Keith Thomson is in any way in personal conflict. He's always, as a result of the fact that we pay for the services through fees, working to maximize our interests. In the downturn of 2008, that was a really scary time, and in terms of how we were helped through that, one of the things that I remember very clearly was that kind of logical, dispassionate voice of reason in the middle of all the panic that we were surrounded by. Not unrealistic, because we were certainly told that it was going to be a difficult period, but we were told a little bit about how we should be thinking about that, and above all other things, not to panic and think about selling assets in a very, very bad time to do that. And the other thing I remember very clearly and appreciated was that we didn't have to seek Keith's time and attention. He was proactively taking responsibility to communicate with us, and I'm sure with his other clients as well, So I never felt that I was walking on the end of a gangplank, to oblivion. Which was very much appreciated in a very bad time. I hope the toughest time that we ever have to live through.
He took us back to basics and said, let's look at the plan, let's look at what we've set in place and why we've set it in place. And yes, this is going to happen, or is likely to happen, or has happened, but this is why we're structured the way we're structured, and this is why we're going to stick with the plan and make changes if we need to, but not just go off willy-nilly. And so it was that taking us back to business kind of basics, sort of kind of pulling us down to ground floor again, to remember what was we started off with and why we'd done that. I think that the prospect of changing from one investment scenario to working with Keith is one where everything is made as simple as possible. Your support team, the support team is there to provide all the documentation and cover all the paperwork, and aside from doing an awful lot of signing of papers, it really isn't a big hassle, unless the idea of having to terminate somebody's services is verbally is a difficult thing for them. But other than that, the mechanics of doing it are very simple.
It's different in terms of the clear effort he's making to understand and support our objectives, in making things as simple for us who are not particularly interested in doing all of the analysis and research as he possibly can, and to the point that there's, and we've also, I think, over time developed such a great understanding that sometimes that phone rings when, and Keith makes us aware of something that if we were aware, we would have figured out for ourselves. So I think what's different is it's all in the relationship, and it's all in the trust and the mutual confidence.
The biggest impact of working with Keith is that we've been able to establish early on for us in our adult lives financial goals that we've subsequently been able to achieve, and so both the establishment of them and the achievement of them have been, for me, the biggest things of working with Keith.
And one of the other things that I've appreciated is this is not a relationship that is all sweetness and milk. I mean, we really have sharp and spirited discussions about direction and policy from time to time. We've had a lot of fun, for example, with our different expectations about how different economies across the globe are going to perform. And so I have the feeling that it's not really a relationship in which we're not invited to have a point of view. I think our point of view is encouraged, and it becomes part of the larger decision-making process. So if we're giving anybody the impression that we think this is all lovey-dovey, it's not that at all. It's a very, very spirited and dynamic relationship that so that we know whatever direction we've decided to take, it's a thoughtful, reasoned, debated kind of an approach.